Where's Waldo? Where's Comrade Harris? What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, the 15th of September, as we start flying and towards the end of the year. And of course, at the end of the third quarter here, we've got a Fed meeting this week, which will indicate probably some rate cuts. I would be very careful at getting too bullish on the rate cut. If it's 50 basis points, that will tell us that there's a lot more trouble in this economy than we think. So again, we'll see how it plays out. Markets were up every day last week. So again, we don't fight the tape. You know what our positions are. We give them to you every day. But in the meantime, we saw a debate this week. And of course, Trump was not very good. Harris kicked his ass. However, it was 3 against 1. All the fact checking, which I will give you some of the facts that were not checked on air. But again, either way, President Trump was not at his best, and Kamala Harris did great. And there's obviously all the stories of the microphones in her ears, and I don't really care. I mean, whether she had him or she didn't have it, it really doesn't matter. She outshined him and she trapped him, and hey, that's life in the big city. It happens, and again, I'm not going to defend either one. I don't like Kamala Harris or Kamala or Comrade. Okay, I think she is a Marxist and a communist. And again, if you look at her lineage, her father was an economics teacher at Stanford who wrote a book on Marxism. And that's a fact. That's not fiction. Okay. The book was called Capital Accumulation and Income Distribution. Okay. So again, it is a tragedy that we are being overrun and being turned into a ism of either socialism, capitalism, or Marxism. Not capitalism, communism, which I think is what we're closer to. If you look at a quote from the president of El Salvador, the fall of the U.S. would have to come within, the enemies are within. No external enemy could cause as much damage as internal enemies. Here you are seeing the internal operation. You can see it in the cities that are beautiful, that were beautiful 30 years ago, now destroyed. When you see the speed at which these cities are eroding, you say, this must be by design. Who would make such foolish decisions? Okay, let's give people money to buy drugs and not work. Pretty good assessment of a lot of what's happened. And of course, we've talked about the income, the wealth inequality, somewhat like in the state of California, where Kamala Harris ruined California. She destroyed San Francisco as a career politician. And you have to ask yourself, in the political world, whoever you support, again, I'm not going to tell you to vote for, I'm just giving you an opinion, but whoever you support, do you want to vote for a career politician that's already destroyed the state that should be the best state in the union? You got everything that it would be perfect, okay, but yet they've destroyed it and turned it into a shithole. I mean, San Francisco, a once great city, now just nothing but a cesspool. But again, I think that according to Goldman Sachs, a Harris victory would be negative for the markets. I happen to agree with that. I don't think that Kamala Harris is a free market person. I don't think that I think she's like the rest, that they don't want us to have freedom. Okay, they want to take away your freedom at every step and every way that they can. And I don't think if you're recognizing what has happened. Now this goes back. The destruction of freedom has been going on for many, many years. But the biggest blow until now was George Bush when he signed the Patriot Act. After 9/11. Of course, we weren't on 9/11, but we do send our thoughts and prayers, and we'll never forget that event. But I think that as you watch Harris work and you watch Biden work, which is the same tree, and you watch Newsom work, I mean, again, you're seeing the destruction of freedom, destruction of your ability to earn, okay, because they want your money to go to the poor, okay, and they want to continue to keep bringing in and having you put your money in. Of course, the very wealthy don't have to pay any of it, which is the big complaint of this party is that the wealthy is gouging on prices. The retailers are gouging on prices, which is the cause of inflation, which is false. Okay. That is something that is ridiculous because, again, and if you had a true free market system, which we're supposed to have, then you can't price gouge unless there's collusion between all the retailers. And I don't believe that you can get all those retailers to avoid collusion. Okay. I think there is no gouging if there's a free market. What we have is massive inflation. And again, that inflation is nowhere near the 2% they continue to try to pitch and tell you. We can look at prices since President Biden took office, and we can see that they're very high. I will go back to the debate for a minute. The only good moment, in my opinion, for the former president was at the end when he said, "You've been in the office for 3.5 years. Why have you not implemented all of these plans that all these plans you're offering the American people now?" Which kind of makes sense if you think about it. Okay. And she, being the border czar, is letting our country still be infiltrated by illegals from everywhere. They continue to let the criminals out, and we're now in a war zone. I mean, you could make a case that we could be possibly in World War III now with the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East, the damage and things that are going on in this country. But again, you take it for what it's worth. Harris promises a crackdown on Iran. Through Harris administration, the sanctions were never worse, and Iran has never had more money. Okay, so another false narrative that is created on the election. Okay, and of course this abortion issue, which, listen, I was not a fan of Roe being overturned. I thought they should have left it alone. But at the end of the day, late-term abortions are criminal. Okay, that I will say. Okay. If you can't make a decision in the first trimester, then there's something wrong with you. But there are 6 states and the District of Columbia that allow late-term abortions, which means that almost at birth you can abort. I think that's a problem. Okay, I don't think that is what abortions were meant for, and I think that is certainly a problem when you look at it. And I certainly it is a political issue. When you want to look at it, if you want to make it on one side, you can't have both sides. Okay, the tax in billionaires and big corporations, it's amazing. The tax cuts that President Trump proved to help everybody, from the very rich to the very poor, those who pay taxes. Okay, it increased jobs. It made jobs better. It made wages higher. But again, you want to check facts? Those are facts. Okay, the tax cuts were good for everybody. Okay, and did not hurt anybody. And I think this is something that you have to look at. I think that you're looking at what now home ownership is still out of touch for most Americans. And even if they cut rates, remember the hidden tax of inflation. When you look at it as a whole, okay, you are paying federal tax, so it benefits the federal government to have higher inflation, because it increases the tax and the federal tax you pay on everything you buy. When you go to the store, there is a federal tax associated with it. So the higher prices are, the more you get to pay. Now, you're not paying it as a income tax, but you are paying a tax. So again, you can look at it from whichever side you want to look at it. The bottom line is you are paying a bigger tax. Okay, whether it be through food and groceries or through clothing, whatever. It's not an income tax, but you are paying a higher tax because of the ridiculously high inflation. And if you think that this rate cut is going to lower inflation, this rate cut that they're talking about on Wednesday is going to spike inflation. Okay, which is exactly what they want. But hey, I'm just one man. Okay, if you're a middle class person, you're in a recession. Okay, rent is higher than earnings. Okay, rent's up 4%. Okay, again. CPI rose 2% in August again. So again, I think we continue to watch. Big Lots filed for bankruptcy this week. That's a store for the middle class and those who look for discount items. They're filing Chapter 11. The dollar stores are struggling. And I think there's an interesting fact that you can look at. And if you ever if you know the chain of Darden restaurants, which is Olive Garden and others, the president or the CEO of Darden came out and said that their customers that they used to get, which was the person that makes $50,000 to $100,000 a year, is no longer coming in. Their customer base now is those that are of the higher end, because of course everybody's struggling unless you're in the upper 2 to 3%. And of course the people in the upper 2 to 3%, which you can see most of them that are the supporters for Kamala Harris, okay, are happy with socialism because they don't get hurt and they don't have any competition. And if you don't think that capitalism is good and competition is good, then you're making a huge mistake. Because at the end of the day, okay, if they destroy our capitalism system, which they're doing a good job so far, what you're going to find out is that you're going to be paying more and living worse, because there won't be a free market. There won't be that. There'll be a destruction of the free market. And I think that is something that you better understand when you go look and you see what they're going on, because we don't get to hear from Kamala, from Comrade. Okay, we don't get to hear from her. She don't show up. She's like Joe Biden. She's living in the basement again. She's hiding from everybody. Yeah, she did the debate, but you don't hear anything from her. Okay, and I think that's a problem. And I think that, of course, if you heard enough, you'd want to choke. And of course, some of her economic plans are directly correlated to what President Trump has done and said. Okay, and we go back into the fracking and things like that. Yeah, I mean, again, do you think wouldn't you like to go back to paying $1.80 for gas instead of $3 or $3.60 or $4 or $5? Okay, wouldn't you like to have more of those jobs back here in this country? You know, I remember when we first discovered fracking and shale producing in North Dakota, they were paying. This goes back into the 80s and 90s. They were paying jobs. They were paying $100 and some thousand a year. People were driving 100 miles a day to get to work because they couldn't find any housing. That's the kind of inflation you want to have, is when there's a strong demand, not a government-created a government-created price. You want it priced because there's a demand and because people can afford to buy it. Okay, I think that, you know, again, I think inflation is in trouble. I think that that a house is out of reach. I think that we have to have a true business person running this country. I think career politicians are full of shit. I think they've destroyed this country. And I think if you go back and you look at it and you think about it, okay, I mean, they have not had our best interest. I would think if I go back in my lifetime, I think that Reagan had our interest. I think Clinton had our interest at the beginning. And I think Trump had our interest, okay? I don't think there's been another candidate who really had the best interest of the American people in my lifetime. And a lot of this downfall started with Lyndon Johnson and, of course, Nixon, and taking us off the gold standard. But hey, I'm just one man's opinion. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, September the 15th. It's a football Sunday, too. So we'll have some picks later. In the meantime, let's take a break, and we'll come back with our market report right after the break. What's up, kids? Well, again, as you know, I've got a couple of partners and sponsors for the show, and they're brokerage partners. And again, it's not, I don't care if you go with them or not. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to check it out. I want you to see if it's better for you. I think that's something that is much more important, that you find out if something works for you. And again, I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't use them myself, number one, and if they weren't what I thought were the best in the industry. And of course, for futures and commodities, Capital Trading Group, who's partners with us on a lot of our programs, including Q8 and Strike Zone. Again, it's something that they have great service. They do a good job. And of course, for equities and options, TRADIER brokerage, look, it's $10 a month flat. Saves me over $100,000 a year in commissions. It should be that simple. Their websites are on the side. You can check them out. Again, I'm not telling you to go switch. I'm telling you to check it out and see if it works for you. And of course, our high school program. And if we don't start educating our kids soon, boy, we will have just an entire bunch of morons running around who have no idea about finance and how to any financial literacy. So hopefully you'll help us out with the high school program, because, you know, it's a fight to get the teachers that teach it, but we're working on it. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz, and our market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 15th of September. And of course, the markets had another big week last week. But again, really, when you look at it, and again, we talk about a big week. When you look at the bigger picture, they have not taken out the high of 2 weeks ago. Okay, we had the big down swoon. We now had 5 days in a row up. So you had 5 days in a row down, 5 days in a row up, and you're still lower than you were when you started. Okay, again, look, I'm not going to tell you that I'm bearish. I'm not going to tell you that I'm bullish. I'm not going to tell you to sell the market. I'm going to play the tape like we always do. Again, we try to catch the trend and be with the trend. And in the four major indices, and again, I'm giving you core positions. Remember, during the day, any given day, we could be flat. We will never be reversed from what I tell you now, but we could not be, and we could be flat. But we're in the four major indices. We're short the S&P. We're short the Russell. We will be long the NASDAQ, and we will be long the Dow. We were long the Dow. We were going to rotate. We're going to roll the NASDAQ either tonight or tomorrow, depending on when you want to do it. Okay, but we will be long the NASDAQ as well. As we look at the dollar, we don't trade the dollar anymore. It has nothing to do with the dollar itself. It has to do with you have to pay a fee to trade it through New York. So why give those crooks the money? But the dollar, we would be long. Okay. The euro currency, which has been selling off, we would be short. We are short. Okay. Bonds and notes. We're short bonds. We're long notes. Okay. In the Bitcoin, we are long Bitcoin, which is just hovering. It's in that consolidation period. Nothing to worry about. We are long gold. We will be reversing silver tonight or tomorrow. Again, that's up to you. Platinum, we don't trade anymore, but it's back over 1,000, which again, we would be long. Copper, we are short. In the grain markets, we are long across the board, and they had a fairly decent week. Finally, it looks like maybe the shorts will finally get squeezed out. And I think that's something that's important, for us, is if you're a bull in the grain market, which I am. And of course, in the meats, cattle we don't trade anymore. I'm still short cattle. I'm still long hogs. I think that is still the correct trade. Crude oil, we're still short, and it's below that 70 marker, but I think it's going to take a pretty good run here pretty soon. And natural gas, we are rotating to long, which I thought, as I said a couple of weeks ago, although we were short, I was looking to buy at lower prices. It never got to where I wanted to buy it. Now, again, we don't trade the softs anymore. But if you were trading the softs, you'd be short cocoa, short cotton, long sugar, long coffee, long OJ. But I think this is a big week with the Fed coming in, and I think that we're misinterpreting the message. Okay, and I don't think that the markets will. I don't think a rate cut is bullish. I think it is going to be more likely bearish. Okay, especially if they go to 50 basis points, because that's going to spike inflation. Okay, and that is telling you, if they go to 50 basis points, that there's a problem in the economy. Not that it's good news. Okay, there really is no reason to cut, because it is going to inflate everything. So again, it goes back to what I said earlier, that it's more of a tax reason than anything else. Even though the Fed is supposed to be independent, which is all bullshit. But hey, we got to buy into the bullshit, because a lot of the people that I know, they buy into the bullshit like it was the gospel. And again, if you understand the free market system, that's not the way it should be. But in the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line, top Bubba Horowitz. We're going to step out here for a break. We'll come back with our football picks and our commentary right after the break. What's up, kids? I'm not going to go through the whole speech. I'm just going to tell you, check out our brokerage partners. I do have other brokers, but Capital Trading Group and Trader Brokerage are the best two brokers for what I do, and saves me about $100,000 a year. Check out their websites on the side, our high school program on the bottom. And let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz, and my market commentary. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, September the 15th. And of course, we had a debate last week. And again, this is one of the biggest issues. Listen, again, I don't defend Trump. He lost. Okay. Again, I don't care where you read. He won. He did this. He lost. Okay. He made one good comment at the end, and it was a terrific comment, but it didn't overcome the losses that he took while he was there. But the real problem that I have is that it was a 3-against-1 type of debate. Okay. They never fact-checked Kamala Harris or Comrade Harris during the debate. Okay. They buried Donald Trump with facts and whatever and figures. And again, look, you can find out the facts for yourself. And of course, depending on which media outlet you look at, the facts may vary, because no longer in this country are the facts the facts. That is the problem. And the problem is, depending on whose news you read, you'll get the facts one way, and the same exact thing, you get the facts another way from another news outlet. And I don't defend any of them, okay? I hate them all. You know that I hate all politicians anyways. I am a libertarian. I can't stand what the Republican Party has done. I can't stand what the Democratic Party has done. But in my opinion, the Democratic Party wants us to become communist and Marxist right now. They're too far to the left, and they're not near center. And to me, that's a big problem. And I do believe that President Trump could help solve those problems, because he is not a career politician, was not a career politician, served 4 years in his life as the president. And he did a pretty good job based on the economy. And I don't want to hear any of the bullshit that, well, inflation was his fault because he borrowed money. Again, you can blame anybody you want, and you can turn it in any direction you want. At the end of the day, the years that he was president, America prospered. Okay? And the years that President Biden has been a president, America has not prospered. Okay? The rich have really prospered, which is, again, by design, to create communism. So you think about it for however you wish, whatever. I won't be mad at you. I don't care. Again, I believe in free speech. Unfortunately, many of those on the left, more than that on the right, will not talk to you, and they get mad at you if you say that you are conservative and want things. And I think that's another problem in this country. Even one of my good friends gets mad because I won't support the leftist views. So, hey, it's life in the big city. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Top Bubba Horowitz, and of course, football in America. Got a couple of games we like today. We do like tonight the Houston Texans. Okay. And we do like the Pittsburgh Steelers, which nobody likes, so I do like them. In the meantime, have a great day, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week right here on Bubba's Bottom Line. Adios.